Great. Good morning, everyone. We'll get started with our MMD subcommittee meeting. So first, we'll start with welcoming everyone. We have quite a few new people. The first one we want to welcome is our Commissioner, Donna Bullock. Welcome to the MMD subcommittee. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you for those of us that haven't gotten a chance to meet you yet?
Okay. Again, my name is Donna Bullock. I moved to the Capital District area in 1980. I was married at the time. We were only going to be here 2 years, maybe 3. So it's been, 43 years later, I'm still here. I retired in January of 2019. I am an attorney. I did my last year of law school here at Albany Law School and transferred the credits back to my school in Chicago, which is where I was living before we were transferred here. I was initially in private practice with the firm, what used to be Romer and Featherston Hall. They were the general counsel to the Civil Service Employees Association. So I started out with a labor law background. I left there. I went to the Public Employment Relations Board as an administrative law judge. And from there, I went to Division for Youth when that agency existed before they were merged with what used to be Social Services to create the Office of Children and Family Services. I also worked at the Unemployment Insurance Appeal Board as an administrative law judge. And then I worked the last 20 years with the State University of New York in the Office of General Counsel, where I had responsibility for all 30 of the community colleges. So in retirement, I thought I was going to travel and go play. I did until COVID hit, and that kind of slowed me down. So I've always believed in giving back to the community. I have served on, a number of boards over the years, and this is an area that I am very passionate about in terms of voting and making sure that everyone has a fair and equitable opportunity to vote. So that's it. I have 2 children, 2 boys, 2 sons, and 7 grandchildren.
Welcome, Donna.
Thank you.
Welcome. And then our other special guest that will be with us for quite some time as well will be Arkbridge. So Arkbridge, folks, I didn't want to bury you in the agenda without having you introduce yourselves.
Good morning. My name is Sam Mather, and Preeti and I are going to be your consultants for mapping. And Arkbridge has been doing redistricting for 25 years now. So this is our 4th cycle. And this, we are pretty excited about this. Last year, we did about 15 or 20 projects. And we are really excited to be here. And Preeti is going to be the technical lead. I will be mostly managing the program to ensure all the resources and everything is in place. And with that, I'll just hand over to Preeti.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Preeti, and I have been doing redistricting for quite a while. I had the opportunity in the 1990 cycle to work at the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, voting section, and I worked side by side with the attorneys there, and we looked at the plans, various plans that were submitted by jurisdictions across the country. And I feel, like Donna said, I feel passionately about voting and voting rights for everyone. And we're happy to be on this project and serve you in whatever way we can.
So Kashana, before we move on, I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to look at the maps that I sent.
No, I didn't yet. I saw them. Matter of fact, I just saw them this morning. I've been so busy with other stuff. I haven't been checking my emails. So.
Oh yeah, I sent them like last night. I don't know what time it was. So I
Okay,
just
so
wanted to give people the opportunity that had looked at it, if they had any questions, to ask those questions. Okay. Back to you, Kashana.
Okay, so the next item was just approving the minutes that were sent, but I also sent those, I sent them earlier in the week and then I resent them last night, but didn't know if I don't know if we actually have enough now, don't we, Marie, to actually approve, because there's 6 of us. Dominic is, is
I don't think
Dominic,
he finished.
Yeah,
don't know if
Nick is not here.
okay, but we still have 6, so we could still approve them, right? Technically, if everybody agrees with them.
Well, yeah, I'm fine with them. I looked at them earlier in the week.
I'm
Yeah,
fine with them as well.
yeah, I saw no problems with them.
Any questions? I know, Donna, that was probably your first time getting them, and you're like, what is happening here?
Right, well, it was, and I mean, as far as I know, I'm fine with them. I wasn't at the last meeting, so.
And what we'll do too is maybe we can even, if you haven't already like gone in SharePoint, I'm gonna start loading the recordings. Like, we have the
Okay.
recordings saved, so you can see the last this will be the 4th meeting that's been recorded. So I'm gonna drop those in our SharePoint folder as well, so that you can see, because it's really a summary of the minutes, but we can make
Right.
sure that you get the recording too. Adrian, did you have any questions or concerns with the minutes?
Nope, I approve.
Okay. So, and I had an action item last time to like drop the rest of the minutes. They are in SharePoint, but I can also email them for everybody. Like, it was like the last, maybe it was like 2 meetings. I think there was one in March and one at the end of February. I did put them in. I listened to the recording, and actually that's the better way to do the minutes, by the way, for those that are going to be doing it soon, Justine and Nasim. It's just to do the playback and take the notes from there. But all right, so we'll move from the approval of the minutes. I gave a space for ArcBridge to present. For those that didn't see the maps or had questions, Maria, I was going to give them the floor to do, to present if they wanted to present.
Okay, Sam,
Yes.
is there anything else you would, I mean, since we're kind of at the beginning of the our whole mapping process, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
We could begin. I don't know if everyone got a chance to look at the map, so we can share that map that we sent you yesterday. And maybe if you have any questions or, so we can kind of go over the map. And
Yeah,
then,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, let's do that.
Can I get the ability to share my screen?
Yep, you have it. Let's see, just in case. Yep, you should be all set now.
Okay, I am now. Okay, so these are the districts that I talked about, and these are the ones which have a majority or plurality of non-Hispanic Black population, and this is based on the current districts, and we have used the 2020 census data, and this is what we have. So what I did was I made a map, and I used the categories that are on the map, and the categories that we used were Hispanic, and we have abbreviated non-Hispanic white, NHWHT, that is non-Hispanic white, non-Hispanic Black, non-Hispanic American Indian Alaskan Native, non-Hispanic Asian, non-Hispanic Hawaiian and Pacific Islander, non-Hispanic other, and non-Hispanic persons of 2 or more races. And the reason why we use this race and ethnicity breakdown because otherwise there would be a double count, because some non-Hispanic whites, there could be whites who are Hispanic too. So with this, we get the exact count and no duplicates. So these are the variables that we are going to use consistently throughout the project. Then what we also did was, and we found that only these districts have a majority or a plurality. And when I say plurality, I mean that that non-Hispanic Blacks are the majority population. They may not be over 50%, but that is what it is, okay? Now, if we also went ahead and looked at, and this data that I'm showing you is by blocks. Census blocks are the lowest geography, and that is what we use for redistricting. We want to make sure that we work at the lowest level. And here we are seeing a little bit more. So each block is color-coded by whatever majority we may have. So if we zoom into this northeastern part of the county, this is where we see the minorities. And if you look at the color coding here, if you see a red block which is painted in red, that means Hispanic majority. If you see the yellow, and this is the color scheme that we typically use, if you see blue, it's non-Hispanic Black, non-Hispanic Asian, not Asian, American Indian, Alaskan Native is in this brown color. Green is non-Hispanic Asians. Purple is non-Hispanic Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander. And so this is the color scheme. And as you can see that there are some blocks where you have a majority of Asian population, non-Hispanic Black population, Hispanic population. And to just give you an overall number that we have, I'm just going to show you the numbers. So just to look at the report, you can see for the whole county, the total population of the county is 314,848. You have 39 districts in the county, and currently the maximum deviation is 29.08%, which means that they have to redistrict and they have to adjust the population in the districts so that this number comes down to 5%. That is what Marie told me the other day, that the state of New York has adopted 5% maximum deviation. Here, and then—
Well, it's 5% plus or minus 2.5%. I'm gonna send you that legislation today so you have a fuller understanding.
Yeah, and typically, like I had said before, this number should be under 10%, but for Albany County is seeking even a more equitable population in each district. So, and total in the county, you have Hispanic population is about 7%. Non-Hispanic white population is about 67%. Non-Hispanic Black population is 13%. Non-Hispanic Asian is 8%. And persons of more than two race is about 5%. So based on the Census 2020 PL 94-171 data set, this is the population composition of the racial and ethnic composition of Albany County. So this is what you have. And now, you can look at how you can divvy it up into 39 districts so that you may get, right now you have 5 non-Hispanic majority minority districts. So first goal would be to keep at least 5 and see what more can we have.
How do these numbers differ from last year? I mean, last redistricting or whatever?
Yeah, I did not load the 2011 data, but I can get that information to you.
I think we need to do a comparison of what that data was, and what this data shows. I
Sure,
think
sure.
that would help me better if I understood, what changes happened between then and now.
Can you check right now?
So I guess to the extent that that's relatively easy, you can do that, but
Yeah.
in terms of drawing the lines, it's not gonna be based on a comparison of the, it's not gonna be based on a comparison of the two. It's gonna be based on what the current data is. So I
Yeah,
think to the
Yeah.
extent that's easy to do,
Well,
that's fine, but we really want the work to be on the current data.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that'll
think
that'll show how the population has changed in the last 10 years, the demographics. That's one advantage of comparing, I guess.
okay.
Yeah, and I just did a quick report, which I'm showing you right now, that some of the districts are, then what we also work in redistricting, we call the ideal population, which is nothing else but total population divided by the number of districts that you need to have. And ideally for 39 districts, each district should have around 8,073 population. And then we make reports, where we say, okay, if it's within the thresholds, like Marie said, plus or minus 2.5, some of the districts may fit in that category and some may not. Like this district 14 has more people. So the deviation is 7.51. So we can go into those kinds of analysis and look at how to balance the districts out. So that is the initial analysis, and the maps are based on this. We just created the maps out of this, and what you're seeing is actually live, the actual data that you're seeing.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have questions right now?
I have one just to help me understand it a little better. Say a district like, say number 2, District 2. Now, if those lines were moved, if those lines were moved, would that be an area that needs to have different lines?
Okay, let's go into the district report, or not even the report. Let's look at District 2. I don't want the report. District 2, if you look at it, it has a population of 7,436 and a deviation of negative 7.89. What that means is it needs to grow. It needs to, yes, the lines would need to change and it would need to acquire more area. And when we do that, then we have to make sure that we do not lose our minority status.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I follow you. Okay. Thank you. It's to grow.
Okay, so we're gonna be proceeding with the remainder of the meeting. What do we have next up?
I have review action items from last meeting. And let me pull those up. So last week, we had action items. The first one was related to the meeting minutes that are now housed on SharePoint. We had transitioning the meeting minutes, the agendas and all of that stuff to Justine and Nassim, but we're going to work on that a little bit later. Let's see, we had inviting Donna to this meeting and some follow-up calls. Just wanted to make sure that those took place with the other candidates or applicants.
Oh, okay, so that's Rodney Dion.
Mm-hmm.
So I still need to do that.
Okay. And then we just had some more or less like housekeeping things, but Donna got her email. It sounds like because you were able to see everything. So that was set up. Let's see.
Oh, I could just provide some updates. So I've, Donna and I have been communicating back and forth. I have forwarded a lot of documentation to her so she could start reviewing stuff and getting up to speed. I provided her with quite a bit, so I'm sure she's still reading to get up to speed. I know she has also gone into the work plan and self-assigned herself to some work. Some of the other things that have happened, the informational flyer was reproduced. Nicole Chambers on Monday is gonna work on adding a QBR code to it, which Kashana had suggested. So she's gonna do that on Monday. I also had the flyer translated into Spanish, so we have an English and also a Spanish version of it. Connie has been working on emailing it out to different organizations. Nassim and Justine did an excellent job with the list that they were working on. And then I put that on SharePoint. Adrian stepped in and merged like the list of churches and community organizations with that list. So everybody should know that there's a list on SharePoint. I think it's called Libraries and Neighborhood Associations, and we should use the SharePoint doc to continue to build it. That way we won't continue to have like several documents. So there's like 4 documents out there now. I'm not sure why, but we should look at them.
Okay, I was just gonna ask that, which one is the one? Because I added, when we talked last week, we were talking about colleges too. I did get that information, so just put them in one of these.
Yeah, I think when somehow, Adrian, you want to speak? 'Cause
Yes.
I think when you went in, somehow different documents got created. So
Right. What happened was when I went, every time I went in, I would save it to make sure that it was saved. So the last document is the most current. And I have to delete the other 3. So.
Okay, and I'll merge the college contacts into this one too.
So Naseem and Justine, does that work for y'all in terms of working off of this document? So we have everything in one place?
Yeah, it just makes life easier. We could
Okay.
totally rename the Excel.
Okay.
What do you want to rename it to?
I have no idea, but whatever is easier for everyone to click on, contribute. Because I know there's some churches and stuff involved.
So I'll come out of here. Oh,
Okay,
Donna, you've had
so,
your hand up for a while.
Oh, I had to remember my question. On the work plan, there were some other areas that I wanted to sign on to as well. They already had other people there, but they were areas that I've like kind of have some experience in. So I just want to know, could I just go in there and just add myself to those as well? Or are you trying to like, you know, spread it around more and not have any one area that's top heavy? So just wanted to know how you wanted to do that.
No, feel free to add yourself where you best fit. I mean, we want to be able to utilize people's strengths to, you know, to effectively progress the work. So if there's particular areas that you're strong in working in, you should add yourself.
Okay, will do.
So let me just check and see if I have anything else here.
Did you want me to keep going through the action items?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole was gonna help us with getting a technical assistance person for our public hearings to run our YouTube and Zoom.
So that's one of the things that we need to talk about. We have that tentative schedule of dates, which does not work because Jeffrey Weiss cannot be available on like the first 3 Wednesdays because he teaches on that day.
Okay.
Also, March 30th didn't work for Nicole because they have something else going on that it conflicts with. And so we need to change those first 3 dates, and we're going to need to come up with another time frame that everybody can be available. So Sam and Pretty, I'm also going to need from you what your availability is. So the meetings and the hearings that we're doing, we're looking at a time frame of like 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It could be shortened, but we're not. The initial one will probably go from 4 to 7. After that, we may shorten them to 2 hours, depending on the level of engagement that we're achieving. But if you can, in an email, let me know your availability. Initially, for the first one that we do, we want to use it as a public education forum. So we would have Jeffrey Weiss do a legal presentation. We would request that y'all do a presentation on maps. Kind of similar to what you did today, maybe just building on that a little bit. There also needs to be a discussion about how we're going to give the public the ability to do mapping. And that discussion needs to happen with the other commission as part of the broader group.
So when are you planning to have this public outreach? What, do you have a time frame in mind, or when do you want to do this? Around when? Which
We
week?
would like to do it as soon as possible. Right now, we're almost to the end of March.
Mhm.
This work, it's scheduled to be completed in June. We have to provide our recommendation to the other commission on the majority minority districts before they can complete their work. And so we need to do this initial forum as soon as possible. And then following that, we're going to need to hold a couple of additional hearings. So we were scheduling 5. That number is not necessarily set in stone. I doubt that we're going to do more than 5. It could go to 4. Just because of timeframes and where we are right now.
Right. Yeah. So these forums are going to be virtual. We can look at next week. One second.
Can you say that again? I can't hear you well.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is we can, we'll do this virtually, right?
We're trying to do a hybrid in-person with Zoom.
Okay, yeah. So we can be on Zoom. We are open on the 30th and the 31st of March. That works.
That's Wednesday and Thursday, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. The 30th and the 31st, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not available on the 30th.
And
Well,
I'm not
I
available.
think we're scrapping the 30th anyway because
Okay,
we
okay.
won't have technical support if we did it on that day.
Okay.
I can't do it the 31st.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you're saying that the first meeting that we have will be a 3-hour meeting?
It'll probably be billed that way, whether it will last that amount of time. Well, the first public hearing that we did jointly, it was billed for 3 hours, but I think we ended it like around 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay.
we only did 2 hours, something
So
like
we
that.
have flexibility on the back end of it, but not on the front end because
Right.
we're gonna have to do a legal notice.
No, I understand. I'm very familiar with the open meetings law. So,
So,
okay, no, I'm just looking at a 3-hour meeting and I'm just thinking about attention span and, at some point, people hit the wall and anything after that, they're not receiving. So that's why I was just looking at that 3 hours. You can't get people to watch a 3-hour movie, no matter how good the movie is. So that's all. That's all I was asking about.
yeah, I mean, I'm not in disagreement with that.
Okay.
Will these meetings be engaging? Like, could we do breakouts and stuff like that just to get input? Or is it just like, we're not gonna just be talking at people? Like, I would hope that,
Well, we
We
don't
can
want to
break
be
up and-
just talking at people because part of our charge, in addition to doing the redistricting,
Mhm.
is to define the unique needs of the different communities. And the only way we're going to get that is we have to be in situations where we have a two-way exchange with
Mhm.
people.
So
So-
breakouts might be one way also, depending on how many people are there.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But the front piece of it will be like introduction and education.
Right.
And neither of those need to really be like long-winded presentations that go for an hour. So I'm not thinking I'm not thinking that. We're probably not talking about more than a half an hour for each of those presentations, and it could end up being less.
So is there, and I'm just looking at the different reports that are to come later, but is there a group that's actually trying to pull together the meetings and or hearings, and ideally what would be covered at each of those sessions?
Yeah, it's really like all hands on deck, but if you would like to work with me on that as a lead, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
in the work plan, there's the one that's like consumer engagement, which is like getting the list, trying to figure out like where's the best place to host them and all that. Then there's another one that has like the back end, like the PowerPoint, what's being like fast facts, like all the kind of documents that we would be sharing. Like there's another that the other tab is like all the background stuff, like the promotion on like having our Facebook page and but yeah, all the communication side is in the communications tab.
I guess a real important thing is to be able to hear the public. What their comments are.
Sam, we can't hear you.
Oh, am I on mute by any chance? No. So I guess the important thing is that we should be able to listen to them and see what they have, the inputs from the public. That is more important and really important to see. And that's how we will define the communities and what they feel about what really our community is. So, and that'll help us in drawing the maps as well.
Absolutely.
I got a question. I think I would need some contact information of the GIS person at the county, because typically the communities of interest are like towns or cities within the county. And they could be like the neighborhood associations where the neighborhood, they want the neighborhood to be together. So if we can get those kinds of things beforehand, so when we go to the community meetings, we're showing them that this is where this is what the county understands as your neighborhood. And then they would have more feedback. So we would be, prepared for those meetings.
So we do have a list of neighborhood associations, and I was just in a discussion with Albany County where we were requesting some GIS assistance, which unfortunately ended up not being that productive because the people that were there really weren't the technical people. And it sounds like Albany County contracts out for like GIS expertise. So I will have discussions about that tomorrow with Albany County to see if there's one contact.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big county. They got to have those layers somewhere on the map.
Well, I know they have mapping, but I believe they have it through a contractor. And in the meeting that we were in, they did not commit to identifying a GIS specialist within Albany County. But again, I don't think the right people were in that meeting.
Because think of the power that we would have when we would have these neighborhood associations and displayed on the map on top of the blocks. So they would be able to see that, we know that our building block is a census block, right? But showing that their neighborhoods and putting them together and showing doing what if things that would really help people think more when they see.
And even later on, once we are trying to move the lines, it becomes important to see those neighborhood associations, to see we're not cutting through any of those That'll be important too. So those are very important GIS files.
Okay.
Anything else? So yeah, let us know the dates, what you're looking at. I guess 31st seems to be open, or?
Okay, can you also provide me with other dates going forward? I mean, you can send it to me in an email, that would be fine.
Right, I can. So in terms of doing the next 3 or 4, do you want them to be in April? I would believe so, right? Let me look at April. Yeah, I'll send you some dates next, end of this month and next month. And let's.
Yeah, I'll send you an email that'll give you the tentative dates that we were looking at. And then you can look at your availability and let me know what your availability is.
Mhm.
The dates that y'all will be able to be available. So on SharePoint, I've been uploading documents to the SharePoint. Kashana has as well. So like I put the contracts on SharePoint, I put the signature documents for the contracts on SharePoint. I put the 2 maps in SharePoint. The code of ethics is in SharePoint. The talking points, I think I put the talking points. I put the talking points in SharePoint. I put the initial budget document that we were working with in SharePoint. So there's a lot of new documents out in SharePoint, and we'll continue to add them. There's other documents that still need to go out there. So if anybody is not familiar with or comfortable using SharePoint, let me know. I mean, I'm not expert in it, but I can navigate it and I can help anyone who needs like a walkthrough navigate SharePoint, because I think that's what we should use going forward. I think that's all I have right now. Except we are starting to get some media attention. After the first public hearing, I had an inquiry from Spectrum, and then we ended up having airplay on Spectrum News 1. We just recently got a inquiry from the Altamont Enterprise, which I collaborated with Larry Volk and Patricia on responding to, which we did respond to. So as we go forward, our activity really needs to pick up. As this activity picks up, we're probably going to start getting more media attention. And we need to be able to be responsive, effectively responsive to any media attention that we get. Everybody needs to take some time with the talking points. Take some time looking at that PowerPoint presentation, which is also on the SharePoint that Kashana put together. Kashana, I just need you to look at what I put out there to make sure it was the last one. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that in there. I was like, oh, let me make sure. Yeah. So I'll take a look at it.
The other thing we need is we need to request audiences with small groups. And so most days in the morning, I'm available. And I have no problem getting up in front of a small group and talking about the work that we're doing. I need to know who else is willing to do that. Okay, so Donna's willing.
I'm willing.
Anyone else? Because I mean, it could end up being like during the day stuff. It could end up being evening stuff. But if it's just one or two people doing it, you know, we're limited by our own capacities. So the more people do it, the more opportunities we can have, you know, the quicker we can start generating this two-way dialogue with the public.
Yeah, I can probably do morning and during the day will be challenging, but definitely evenings.
Okay. All right, great. So,
Evenings, depending on when it is, would
okay,
help.
so everybody else, you know, everybody has some contacts with some groups or organizations or whatever. So everybody should consider it part of their responsibility to identify opportunities for our body to speak to these groups.
Have an NAACP there
Yes.
and LULAC. Those may be associations that you may need to talk.
What was the second one that you said?
The second one is LULAC, which is Latin American, which is Hispanic organization, kind of like the NAACP.
Is it LULAC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard of that. I don't know if it exists here, but I'll definitely look into it. I know we do have some Hispanic Latino organizations here, but I'm not familiar with that one, but that's helpful. Thank you. Kashana, is in terms of the agenda.
I have Mr. Weiss. Is he coming on at 9?
Well, he
50?
had another meeting
Oh, okay.
and he wasn't sure if he would be able to make it by 10.
Okay. Let's see. So yeah, I had him from 9:50.
Why don't we talk about the work plan?
Okay. I have it up. I'll put it on the screen.
So Larry, I know you were distributing flyers,
Yeah, I'm gonna go back out.
English and
Do that.
Spanish versions
Back
of
out.
that. How's that going?
Okay, I delivered some, but I'm gonna go back out today. My plan was to go back out and hit most of them today. I hit a few locally, but I'm gonna start with the same list that I had with the stewards. I'm gonna ride around to all of them today because that takes a minute just to drive around. And I'm gonna put up both the English version and the Hispanic version at the stewards. And then I did put Albany Library. I did the well, at the time you gave it to me, I didn't have the Hispanic one, but I gave the John Howell Library, and they agreed to put it up for me. And I'm gonna try to hit some of the libraries. So my goal was to hit the stewards today and hit as many libraries today as I could. I know I can put some down at the African American Cultural Center. As a matter of fact, I can probably get those done today, and then I'm gonna try the Albany Housing Authorities, put them in their lobbies or on their boards. So that's
Okay.
my goal. My goal is to get all of that done today.
Okay. If anybody else wants flyers, let me know. You could just shoot me an email or text me.
I definitely need some.
We're also gonna do a mailing. Because we do have quite a few addresses for community organizations. So we're also doing a mailing, and Nicole Chambers provided me with envelopes and said that she would create labels on Monday. So that's also in play. So I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything?
I do have a question whenever it's the right time.
Now is the right time.
Okay, the question that I have is, do you want the community to draw the maps?
Yes, we want the maps to be based on public input. Yes.
Public input is fine, but do you want actually the members of the community to be able to draw maps?
Yes.
Okay. So is it,
And I should tell you that the question that we got from one of the media contacts was, when will tools be made available to the public to draw maps? And how much time will they have to be able to submit maps?
yeah, my question was that the redistricting commission is going to roll out a software which the community can draw the maps. And our suggestion would be, instead of rolling out another one for MMD, can we use the same one that the redistricting commission would roll out, so that it's less confusing for
Yes.
the community?
Yes, and that has been part of the discussion. So is Monday, I know y'all said that on Mondays y'all have like an alternate commitment,
Yeah.
but this Monday coming up, y'all will be at the meeting, right?
Yeah, this Monday we will be at the meeting. This Monday we are open.
Okay, so at that meeting, the other mapping vendor will be there. The full commission will be there, and we'll be able to have a fuller discussion about this.
That would be good, because we don't want to confuse the community by rolling out two, and then, they are not sure which one to use or what to do. Because already creating plans is not very easy, and for them to make a choice of which one they have to use could be very confusing.
Right, and that's been part of the discussion that they've been having in the commission meetings.
Also wanted to say that Jeffrey Weiss has joined in, so he
I
put
see
that
Jeff
in.
is with
Yep.
us. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, good morning. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you earlier. I will be at the meetings at 9 o'clock in the future, and I'd be delighted to answer any questions or comments anybody might have.
Does anyone have anything for Jeff at this time?
No.
No.
Okay.
So Jeff, do you want to have any other introductory comments?
Well, just to introduce myself to everybody, since it's our first meeting, I am serving as counsel to this committee. I'm also working with the full commission, advising them on the law. Just by way of background, I'm a adjunct professor and senior fellow at New York Law School in Manhattan, where I direct the New York Census and Redistricting Institute. My background includes having served as a redistricting staffer and counsel to 5 New York State Assembly speakers, to 4 Democratic state Senate leaders. I've also worked across the state and country for numerous elected officials and governments on redistricting, and serve as the staff officer of the National Conference of State Legislatures Redistricting and Elections Committee, where I'm the co-author, editor of the NCSL Redistricting 2020 Red Book. It's a 300-page handbook to the process, and I'd be glad to make PDF copies available to everybody. I'll send it along shortly. So I look forward to working with all of you. I'll be providing legal advice on both the process, on the mapping, on the law. Joining me in this effort will be Dr. Lisa Handley. She is a preeminent nationally known expert on racial voting analysis. She and I were in the process now of developing the database necessary to analyze the county elections since the 2015 Pope versus Albany County litigation, so we could determine exactly the legal requirements for maintaining and creating minority districts. It was a pleasure to meet all of you today, and I'll be back with you on a regular basis, 9 a.m. on Saturdays. And for those of you joining the Monday full commission meeting, I'll also be participating in those sessions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So if no one has anything else right now, we were gonna just take a quick look at the work plan, Kashana.
Okay, so did we want to just like just go through and get updates? Like I know, Larry, you were gonna look into identifying meeting venues and actually going in them to see if you felt that we could do hybrid or do host meetings in different areas in the community. Not sure if you had a chance to do that because you're doing flyers too.
Well, while I was at Albany, John Howell, I got to get back to them because they had shut down their meeting rooms because of COVID, and they hadn't known when they're going to be reopening it. So I got to check back with that. I did ask them when I was putting in their flyers about, because I knew they had a meeting space, but they're the only ones I've talked to. So I don't know what Albany public libraries are doing at this point.
So Nasim and Justine have been involved in contacting all the libraries, finding out if they have meeting space, finding out if their meeting spaces are open and available, how many people they can accommodate. So a lot of that.
So they're going to take care of the libraries. I'll look into some other venues. I'd plan to go by Albany Housing. I'd plan to go by Trinity. And I know I got to see what we're doing down at the Arts Center. So I'll look into those venues. I haven't talked to anyone at those places yet.
Jeffrey, I seen or Mr. Weiss, I see your hand up again. Is that
Yeah,
from
actually,
before?
my hand was up, but I do want to say something. I'm just gonna hold on 1 second. Yeah, my hand. Okay, let me just see if my video, if you can see me now. I just want to make one note about the venues. A number of redistricting hearings have been held by New York State and around the state using hallways or entranceways or cafeterias. And if we're going to do hearings that are hybrid, where people are both there in person, but also via the internet, acoustics are very important in terms of hearing. So whatever room you get, try to make sure it has closed doors and somewhat of a low ceiling. Auditoriums, gymnasiums have really bad acoustics, and it's often very hard to hear, especially if we're going to do a hybrid. So just wanted to point that out. And I will lower my hand.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So anyway, at this point, all the commissioners should be familiar with the work plan. Everyone should have reviewed it and self-selected some work for themselves. There's some spaces where, I think we have, well, I need to check, but I know there were a few spaces where, actually it looks pretty good now. So we might be pretty good, but everybody should be actively and aggressively working in the areas that they've selected. If you don't feel like you're clear on what that work is and you need to have a fuller understanding, then let me know. And we can have a conversation about it. But everybody needs to be actively and aggressively working in the areas that they assigned. Justine is gonna be like reaching out to people during the week to kind of get some sense of what kind of progress you're making, or if there's anything that you need in support of the work that you're doing, so we can just closely monitor what we're doing and make sure that everything continues to move. We don't really have a lot of time, as I indicated before, to like fully implement this work. And so it's like I said before, it's all hands on deck and everybody needs to stay actively engaged.
Marie, I do have some questions, but rather than discuss them here in the meeting, I'll just, contact you after the meeting's over.
Okay.
All right.
Have any of the venues for the public hearings been identified?
No, Nicole is working on that and she
Oh,
has
okay.
venues for us. We just need to finalize the dates.
Okay,
But that's for the larger meetings.
right.
The venues that we need to identify is for the smaller group conversations.
Okay.
So we could go to churches
Mm-hmm.
if churches were
Right.
willing to allow it.
Mhm.
We could go to places like the African American Community Center. We can
Mhm.
go to Latino community organizations. We could go to Hispanic churches. I mean, there's all kind of organizations that have like little group meetings
Mm-hmm.
where we can go and talk to them.
Right. I put I entered my church. They will be a good place. Woodbourne Temple. They have a large area downstairs.
So it's a question of whether or not they're willing to allow us to come there.
I'll find
We'll
out.
have like 5 minutes to talk to the congregation.
Just 5 minutes?
I mean, I would say no more than 10.
Okay. All right.
I mean, basically it's an introduction
Mhm.
to us, who we are and why we are.
Okay.
The whole issue of needing public input. I mean, it's just that initial piece of engaging them in the process. And I think the less time we take up, the better. I mean, similar to what I did with like Arlene Way's group.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Donna, you've got your hand up.
Yes, we could probably do that at my church as well, Macedonia.
Okay, so yeah, y'all just need to put the.
I'll
offer
make,
out there.
I'll reach out to Pastor Poindexter.
Okay,
And
awesome.
you're just talking about just maybe 5 minutes of time, at some point, like announcements or whatever during service.
Yes,
Okay, and I was also thinking that that also might be a location that we could use for a small group meeting as well.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will reach out to him about both of those things.
Thank you.
And
So,
then just,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just to piggyback off of the conversation we had last week, can we also generate a list of, I know we're looking at like what organizations and people to contact, but can we also put a list together of like where we should market the public hearings and public meetings going forward? Just because I know last time we talked about how a lot of people didn't know about the public hearing, but if we could generate a list that we know is gonna generate reach, I think that would be helpful, just in case, like, so to prepare us for those public meetings, and then also to support the at-large commission as well, and making sure that it's reaching everyone and not subgroups.
Mm.
Okay, so I mean, I think the two lists are gonna dovetail a little bit, but yeah, we can do that.
Marie, will say for instance, an announcement, say at Macedonia, would the whole team would be required to go, am I right? All the commissioners?
I mean, anybody who wanted to be there could be there.
Okay,
And
okay.
definitely in any, anytime we have an audience, the more of us that can be there, the better. But I mean, if everybody can't be there, everybody can't be there. We're not gonna lose an opportunity because of that, so.
Right, okay.
But the more people see us and hear us, the more effective we're gonna be when we get to the point of the larger public hearings. If no one has anything else, I think we're done. Welcome again, Donna. And thank you to Jeff and Arkbridge for being on board and for joining us this morning.